Hello everybody, this is Gamaniac and welcome to my first video where today I will be going over all 11 main bosses in God of War Ragnarok and ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. Ready? Let's go. Coming in at number 11 is Bjorn. I want to preface this by saying that damn this game is good, as evidenced by the fact that not one of these boss battles that I'm going to go over here today are actually bad. In fact, all of them range from good to great. Now, the bottom of this list was pretty easy for me to compose, but that's just because these are the boss battles that I just found the least exciting. Again, it doesn't mean they're bad. Bjorn is a great starter boss, showing you how to dodge unblockable attacks and block shock waves, which is something I didn't know you could do against Hrazlir in 2018 until like my 4th or 5th playthrough of the game. I just kept tanking those shots like an idiot. It's like that first fire troll you find in 2018 after killing the deer. It's easy enough to beat, and like the fire troll, you'll probably be able to one-shot him once New Game Plus comes out. Really, you can use the Ice Beam Light Axe Runic in 2018 to one-shot the first fire troll. It's wonderful. Again, like the troll, it's a fun, pretty easy boss, and the only thing is, Bjorn has a really good twist ending once you beat him. Seriously, I was so caught off guard by the fact that Bjorn was Atreus, even though I knew that Loki could turn into animals. I gotta admit, I kinda thought he'd turn into a horse. I mean, we haven't seen Sleipnir yet, but still, surprised the hell out of me. Coming in at number 10 is Alva, Queen of the Light Elves. I gotta be honest with this one, I was pretty close to putting Alva in last place. First of all, I hate the Light Elves, like I hated the Dark Elves in the last game. They're annoying, and will mess up your combos and attacks fairly easily. At least they don't shoot projectiles at you and stop them from a distance now, so that's a plus, I think. The only thing that stopped me from putting her last is the fact that she introduces a key component of the game and one that will be absolutely crucial for later, the blue ringed shield block. This is integral to future boss battles, both in the main story like Thor and Odin, and in side quests like the Berserkers. Alva is a great training boss battle, letting you learn the shield block as well as providing you with a pretty good fight similar to the Dark Elf King in the last game. Thanks to Dante Ravioli, I will be calling the Dark Elf King Pablo. But, ultimately, that's all Alva is. A training boss. A good fight, but ultimately doesn't matter to the story that much. So, number 10, second to last, she goes. Coming in at number 9 is Gryla. This is where composing this list got a little bit difficult for me. This boss and the next boss on this list were pretty similar for me in terms of enjoyment levels, but I'll get to why I very slightly prefer the next boss when we talk about her. For now, let's talk about an unexpectedly enjoyable boss fight in Gryla. The reason I say unexpectedly enjoyable is because I can only assume that I looked and sounded like a zombie after playing Ironwood for 13,000 years straight, but they still managed to throw in a really fun boss fight, and if I'm not mistaken, the only boss fight that Atreus has to himself in the course of the game. I love the idea that you had to shoot solely her cauldron for a little bit, which made for a fun accuracy challenge and different component to the fight throughout the course of it. The multiple phases where you get to melee her cauldron just for her to pull it back away from you is a nice way to continue the fight without making it feel unnatural and forced. And eventually, you win and leave. In such a short time, Gryla's character was perfectly established. She's lost, misguided, not a villain. I really enjoy this fight, and up to this point on the list, this is the most fun I had in a boss battle, hence the number 9 ranking. I mean, they threw it in the middle of Ironwood, and I still managed to have fun. So, props to the devs on this one. Good fight, good stuff. Coming in at number 8 is Venatus, or Venati. So, I'm sure since I said her in the last part, it sort of gave it away. So, here it is. And there's really 2 reasons why I think that this fight is a little bit better than Gryla. Number 1 is the surprise factor, and immediate terror alongside that I felt when a Valkyrie stomped on my head. Again. Sigrun flashbacks. Of course, the boss fight being in the main story pretty much guarantees that it won't quite be as hard as an optional fight as Sigrun was in the last game, But it was definitely not as hard, actually. But I was still fearful that she'd shout Valhalla and rob me of half my health bar at any given second. This didn't happen, and I was gleeful. And the second reason I prefer this fight is more for the story element itself. This leads to the Vanaheim section, which in turn gives us another boss fight that I'll be discussing here later. But the main idea here is that Freya putting aside her hate from Kratos is an absolutely amazing element of the story, so a decent ranking for Freya here. Coming in at number 7 is, I guess, Hrist and Mist. I have literally nothing bad to say about this fight. This was honestly one of the most fun battles in the entire game, so let me run down everything I seriously liked about this. Firstly, that backdrop. The Spark of the World is honestly one of the most beautiful set pieces I've ever seen in a video game, and I've played Ghost of Tsushima twice. I also love the Valkyries regaining health after every near defeat, keeping the boss battle going in a really fun and entertaining way. I think this is a testament to how good this fight is, because with any other boss in this game, if they not only regained health, but also got more powerful 3 different times, I think I'd rage quit. But not this time. I thought it was too much fun. And the end scene with Kratos and Atreus in Bjorn form killing the Valkyries together was just, mwah, chef's kiss. Beautiful scene, great fight, great storytelling, crazy levels of entertainment, good job. Coming in at number 6 is Nidhogg. This fight was awesome. I kind of got jump scared by it, to be completely honest. I mean, I knew freeing Freya couldn't be that easy, but man, I was not expecting Shin Godzilla's first form to pop out of a wormhole. But hey, it did, and it was great. There's so much I like about this fight, from having to knock Nidhogg off the pillars, to pulling him out of the wormhole, to the great variety of attacks, all the way up to the Collapsidian death. Yes, I know, that was his hand and this is Nidhogg's head, but if I made a primeval reference, I don't think enough people would understand. This fight was so much fun, and I love it. I can't blame Nidhogg's children for trying to bite off Kratos' hand, though. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, Kratos and Freya working very well as a team. My favorite duo other than Brock and Sindri. Sorry, Atreus, you being a little loser in the first game kind of knocks you down a couple pegs in this one. Even the background. I would like to shout out Vanaheim for having a really good background for this fight, and again, the shield break comes into play again, so good ranking for Nidhogg. Coming in at number 5 is Thor Round 2. Yeah, I know, this might be surprising to some people that I have Round 2 lower than Round 1, but hey, it's my list. Besides, I think what'll shock people the most here are the amount of battles I have above this one. Still, Round 2 was awesome. Everything from the dialogue to the fight itself to the cutscenes. Using Mjolnir against Thor was awesome, and Kratos actually being able to hold Mjolnir without Thor's magical gloves and belt is also pretty damn cool if you ask me. Plus, the ending. Thor completing Kratos' entire character arc in the span of one game, Odin being worst out of the year, and the seamless lead into the Odin battle. Plus, Round 2 of the Leviathan axe clashing with Mjolnir. Also, the voice acting. Everyone in this game killed it, but man, Ryan Hurst as Thor was just so good. Great fight. Coming in at number 4 is Garm. God, I love this fight. It's just so good, and one of the few truly giant things that we actually get to fight in the Norse saga. I don't count the trolls in that, by the way. I count Hrazlir the dragon, Garm, and Gryla. I don't actually count Nidhogg as giant. He's probably in the same level as the trolls. Anyway, back on track. Garm is great. A good array of attacks, fun mechanics like freezing the chain to the ground, the big setup of chasing him through Helheim, the visuals, all of it. The backdrop of Hell is honestly really nice, more so than I really gave it credit for. The color scheme is beautiful. I also love that there's so much confusion around whether Garm and Fenrir are the same in the myth that Santa Monica just combined them into one. Garm becomes the goodest boy, and they show us again the power of souls in this game, which comes into play really heavily in the final battle against Odin. I mean, really, what isn't there to love against a giant hell wolf that Atreus sets free of his own stupidity? Whatever, it was great. Coming in at number 3 is Heimdall. I have a big thing for mid-game bosses like this. Hercules in God of War 3, the Gladiator in Doom Eternal, Ryuzo's Candle fight in Ghost of Tsushima, those kinds of fights. It's a lot of fun for some reason, and that trend didn't break here. Man, I really didn't like Heimdall. I think he bullied Atreus way too hard, and really reminded me of Hermes, whom I also took great joy in destroying in God of War 3. I almost forgot about this, but the fight starting on the back of his lion thing was so much fun. The way Heimdall progressed in the early stages of the fight was great, from dodging every attack to having to block to finally getting hit. Something I didn't know was that after you hit him, you can use all your weapons on him instead of just the Draupnir spear. His time slower ability made for a fun mechanic, as well as being a good counter to Kratos' Realm Shift if you had that equipped. Plus, the little glimpse of the Ghost of Sparta that we saw at the end was great. Amazing storytelling, and the way Christopher Judge fumbled Yellowhorn at the end really made it look much more authentic. Yeah, I think it deserves this number 3 ranking. Coming in at number 2 is Odin. Yeah, Odin at number 2. The general consensus that I've seen so far is that a lot of people think Odin's fight was underwhelming, and a lot of people think it was the best fight in the entire game. It's definitely not the worst fight, hence the high ranking, and I wasn't disappointed at all. Richard Schiff's Odin was phenomenal. I do think, though, that there's one fight left, and I think you can guess what that is at this point, but regardless, back to Odin. His moveset was great, more so in Phase 2. It was decent enough in Phase 1, the field attack, the charge attack, the Bifrost beam, though the charge attack was taken directly from Pablo in 2018, so it's still an easy dodge. I wish there was a bit more emphasis on Gungnir, seeing as it's Odin's primary weapon. A clash between Gungnir and the Leviathan axe would have been really cool, though perhaps Sony Santa Monica thought it was overdone with Mjolnir. Regardless, a great fight, and I loved it, really, but there's still one more to go. I think the backdrop of this fight is really underrated, even though we still kind of have the same one for Thor Round 2. It just feels different when Odin is there. Like, it's a bit of like a bigger deal, and once you go through the ground for Phase 2, I think it just gets even cooler. Great fight. Love it. And coming in at number 1 is Thor Round 1. Here we are, number 1, the best fight, in my opinion, in all of God of War Ragnarok. It was a rough, dark, cinematic, and emotional duel. Not to mention, absolutely insane. The tense scene with Odin and Thor in Kratos' house was the perfect way to start this fight off. And back to Ryan Hurst's voice acting, Thor's "'bout time" line gave me goosebumps. The back and forth between these two was epic verbally, but not as epic as the clash between the hammer and the axe. And now for the elephant in the room. Thor canonically killed Kratos, and then revived him with Mjolnir to continue the fight. I'm not gonna lie, I had this scene in particular spoiled for me before the game's release, but did it take away from the hype? Not at all. I loved it. I jumped out of my seat when I first got to this part. It was phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. A 10 out of 10 fight that rivals, if not tops, Baldur from the first game, which is quite a feat and quite a compliment for me, because I firmly believe that either this fight or Baldur in 2018 is the best fight in gaming history. And so, that rounds off our list. And that rounds off our list for all 11 God of War Ragnarok main bosses ranked. Thank you for watching, and have a great holidays. And I'm sick, so I sound terrible. Thank you for watching.